Buying a modern crossover is essentially signing up for a financial hostage situation. You get a massive monthly payment, a fragile transmission, and a dashboard that looks like an iPad but breaks like a cheap toy. Meanwhile, the most reliable vehicles ever built are sitting forgotten at the back of the used car lot, wearing price tags that will make you laugh. Today, we are looking at 5 bulletproof Mazdas you can steal for under $5,000. Machines built so well, they routinely cross the 400,000 mile mark while modern engines are self-destructing. Stick around to find out which one of these hidden gems actually shares parts with a legendary American muscle truck, saving you thousands on maintenance. Number 5. The 2000 to 2006 Mazda MPV. The minivan segment is currently dominated by the Honda Odyssey and the Toyota Sienna. Those two vehicles command a heavy premium on the used market. Buyers overlook the second generation Mazda MPV, making it a brilliant budget purchase. Mazda engineered this vehicle to be smaller and lighter than domestic minivans, allowing it to navigate tight city streets and fit into narrow parking garages. Under the hood of the 2002 and newer model sits the 3.0-liter Ford Duratec V6 engine. Mazda utilized their corporate partnership with Ford to source this engine block. It features dual overhead camshafts, an aluminum engine block, and a steel timing chain. It produces 200 horsepower, providing adequate power for highway merging with a full load of passengers. The engine uses traditional port fuel injection, which prevents carbon soot from accumulating on the intake valves. You bypass the expensive maintenance required by modern direct injection engines. Mazda paired this V6 with a traditional 5-speed automatic transmission that uses physical gears and a torque converter. The interior design features practical elements that modern vehicles lack. The Mazda MPV was one of the first minivans to offer sliding rear doors, with windows that physically roll down. Competitors only offered windows that popped out slightly at the rear edge. The third-row seat folds flat into the floor, creating a deep cargo area for transporting bulky items. The second-row seats are separate captain chairs that slide side to side, allowing you to configure the cabin for different passenger needs. A carpenter named Richard bought a 2004 Mazda MPV to use as a work van. He removed the rear seats to create a flat cargo floor for his tools and lumber. He drove the van through construction sites and rough dirt roads. The traditional strut front suspension and torsion beam rear suspension absorbed the impacts. He followed a basic maintenance schedule, changing the conventional engine oil every 5,000 miles. He pushed the original powertrain past 320,000 miles. The engine retained factory compression, and the transmission shifted through all 5 gears without hesitation. You must inspect 3 failure points before purchasing this van. First, the positive crankcase ventilation hose cracks from engine heat. This rubber hose routes unburned crankcase gases back into the intake manifold. The rubber hardens and splits open over time. This creates a vacuum leak, allowing unmetered air to enter the engine. The engine will idle rough and stall at stoplights. Replacing the rubber hose costs $10 and takes 5 minutes to fix. Second, the rear air conditioning lines rust. Mazda routed the aluminum refrigerant lines along the undercarriage of the van to supply cold air to the rear passenger climate vents. In regions that salt their roads during winter, the salt eats through the thin aluminum tubing. The refrigerant leaks out, disabling the entire air conditioning system. You can pay a mechanic to cap off the rear lines, which restores cold air to the front dashboard vents for a fraction of the cost of replacing the long lines. Third, the ignition coils fail. The V6 engine uses a coil-on-plug ignition system. The 3 ignition coils located on the rear bank of the engine sit near the firewall, trapped under the intake manifold. The trapped heat degrades the internal wiring of the coils, causing an engine misfire. Replacing the rear coils requires removing the upper intake manifold, making it a moderate labor expense. You can find these versatile vans for $2,000 to $4,000. A traditional minivan offers great utility, but some buyers refuse to drive a van. They want the ride quality of a traditional sedan with an engine that requires almost no attention. Our next vehicle is a forgotten midsize car overshadowed by its famous competitors. Number 4. The 1998 to 2002 Mazda 626. When buyers search for a reliable used sedan under $5,000, they limit their search to the Honda Accord or the Toyota Camry. The used car market prices those two models based on their reputation. Buyers ignore the 5th generation Mazda 626. This sedan offers the same Japanese engineering and longevity for half the purchase price. Mazda built this generation on the GF platform, focusing on a comfortable ride and low operating costs. You must target the models equipped with the 2.0-liter FS 4-cylinder engine. You must avoid the optional 2.5-liter V6 engine if it is paired with an automatic transmission. The automatic transmission mated to the V6 engine suffers from premature premature clutch pack failure due to poor heat dissipation. The 4-cylinder engine is the reliable choice. It features a cast iron engine block, an aluminum cylinder head, and a timing belt system. The engine produces 130 horsepower. It is not built for speed, it is built for endurance. The interior features a unique design element that demonstrates the engineering focus of the era. The center dashboard air conditioning vents feature an oscillating function. You press a button, and the internal plastic louvers swing side to side automatically, distributing cold air across the entire cabin like a household fan. The seats are wrapped in durable cloth material that resists tearing and staining. The dashboard layout uses large physical dials for the climate control, allowing you to adjust the temperature without taking your eyes off the road. A commuter named David purchased a 2001 Mazda 626 to drive 60 miles a day to his corporate office. He drove the car through heavy rain and winter snow. The hydraulic power steering system provided direct feedback about the road surface. He changed the transmission fluid every 40,000 miles and replaced the rubber timing belt at the recommended intervals. He logged 290,000 miles on the iron engine block. The suspension required only basic wear items like brake pads and outer tie rods. Before you buy, inspect 3 specific mechanical areas. First, the valve cover gasket leaks engine oil. The rubber gasket seals the gap between the aluminum cylinder head and the valve cover. After a decade of thermal heat cycles, the rubber hardens and shrinks. Engine oil seeps past the gasket and drips onto the hot exhaust manifold, creating a burning smell in the cabin. The oil also pools inside the spark plug tubes, causing the engine to misfire. Replacing the valve cover gasket is a cheap repair that requires basic hand tools. Second, the exhaust gas recirculation valve clogs with carbon soot. The valve routes exhaust gases back into the intake to lower combustion temperatures. The carbon inside the exhaust gas accumulates inside the narrow metal valve passages. When the valve chokes, the engine hesitates during light acceleration and triggers a check engine light. You can remove the valve and scrub the internal passages with carburetor cleaner to restore engine performance. Third, the sway bar end links wear out. The metal ball joints on the end links connect the sway bar to the suspension struts. The internal plastic sockets wear down from road impacts. When you drive the car over speed bumps or rough pavement, you will hear a metallic knocking noise from the front wheel wells. Replacing the end links requires unbolting 2 nuts per side and takes less than an hour. You can buy these forgotten sedans for $1,500 to $3,000. A midsize sedan is excellent for commuting alone, but what happens when you need to transport your family and you still refuse to buy a heavy sport utility vehicle? Prepare yourself for a mechanical oddity that solves family transportation problems while fitting into compact parking spaces. If you are tired of dealerships hiding the truth about overpriced family vehicles, hit the subscribe button right now. We constantly expose the mechanical reality so you can protect your wallet and find the car for your daily needs. Number 3, the 2006 to 2010 Mazda 5 families multiply, and parents assume they must surrender their driving enjoyment to purchase a heavy crossover. The mainstream market dictates you must buy a large vehicle that consumes huge amounts of fuel. Mazda identified a gap in the market and built the first-generation Mazda 5. It is a microvan built on the nimble chassis of the Mazda 3 compact car. It features sliding rear doors and 3 rows of seating, accommodating up to 6 passengers in a footprint smaller than a midsize sedan. The market rejected this microvan because buyers wanted elevated ride heights. The depreciation on this model is steep. You acquire the utility of a minivan with the parking footprint of a hatchback for pennies on the dollar. Powering this people mover is the 2.3-liter MZR 4-cylinder engine. This engine utilizes a steel timing chain, dual overhead camshafts, and port fuel injection. Mazda offered this practical 6-passenger vehicle with an optional 5-speed manual transmission. Finding a manual transmission family hauler is rare and provides an engaging driving experience. If you opt for the standard automatic, you receive a reliable Torx converter gearbox that shifts smoothly and resists braking under load. A working mother named Sarah bought a 2008 Mazda 5 to transport her children to school and haul musical instruments. She navigated tight school drop-off zones where larger luxury SUVs struggled to turn. She reached 270,000 miles using basic synthetic oil changes. The sliding rear doors prevented her children from denting adjacent cars in crowded grocery store parking lots. The low step-in height allowed her young children to climb into the vehicle without assistance. Before you sign the title, you must perform an inspection of 3 known failure points. First, the rear suspension camber geometry destroys tires rapidly. Mazda engineers designed the rear suspension with negative camber to make the top-heavy vehicle handle like a sports car around corners. This suspension angle causes the inside edge of the rear tires to wear down to the bare metal cords, while the outside edge looks new. Turn the steering wheel and inspect the inner tread blocks on the rear wheels. If the inside edge is bald, you must purchase an aftermarket adjustable camber arm kit to fix the factory alignment flaw permanently. Second, the sliding door latches freeze solid in winter weather. Moisture accumulates inside the metal cable housing of the sliding doors. During winter freezes, the internal metal cable binds. You pull the exterior door handle, and the door bounces back open when you attempt to close it. You must remove the interior plastic door panels and lubricate the metal latch mechanisms with white lithium grease to displace the trapped moisture. Third, the passenger side motor mount collapses. The rubber mount that supports the engine block near the firewall is fluid-filled to dampen engine vibrations. When the rubber tears under engine torque, the dampening fluid leaks out. The raw engine vibrations transfer directly into the quiet cabin. You will feel an annoying steering wheel vibration when the car is stopped at traffic lights and gear. You can secure these versatile family haulers for $3,000 to $5,000. Hauling a family requires space, but what if your primary goal is basic point A to point B transportation in crowded city environments? You need a vehicle light enough to save money at the fuel pump, but durable enough to handle broken pavement. Our next vehicle is the Urban Warrior, the American market rejected. Number 2, the 2011 to 2014 Mazda 2. The American automotive market possesses an irrational hatred for subcompact cars. Buyers demand large crossovers just to commute alone to a suburban office building. Because buyers refuse to purchase tiny, efficient hatchbacks, the Mazda 2 suffered terrible sales numbers during its production run. Dealerships discounted them below invoice just to clear lot space. Today, they sit abandoned on the used car market. If you need flawless transportation to escape financial debt, this vehicle is the automotive cheat code. It weighs 2,300 pounds. That feather-light overall weight means the engine, brake pads, and suspension components experience minimal physical stress during daily operation, extending their mechanical lifespan. Beneath the sloping hood sits the 1.5-liter MZR 4-cylinder engine. This simple power plant produces 100 horsepower. It features a steel timing chain, a cast aluminum engine block, and port fuel injection. Because it lacks direct injection technology, you never have to worry about carbon buildup choking the intake valves or paying for intake cleaning services. Mazda paired this engine with a traditional 4-speed automatic transmission or a 5-speed manual gearbox. The Mazda 2 shares its underlying chassis platform with the Ford Fiesta. While the Ford Fiesta was plagued by the power-shift dual-clutch transmission that ruined thousands of lives, Mazda refused to use Ford transmissions. They stuck with their own proven hardware. The driving dynamics are shocking for a cheap economy car. Because it weighs nothing, the steering feedback is sharp and communicative. You can dive into tight city street corners and navigate cramped parking garages with ease. A delivery driver named Kevin bought a 2012 Mazda 2 to navigate heavy urban traffic and broken city infrastructure. He logged 240,000 miles on the original engine and the factory manual clutch. He hit city potholes daily and idled for hours outside apartment complexes in winter weather. The engine never burned oil. The accessible mechanical engineering allowed him to perform all routine maintenance directly in his driveway using basic hand tools. Despite the commercial-grade reliability record, you must inspect 3 components before handing over your cash. First, the front strut mounts degrade prematurely. The rubber upper mounts bear the brunt of road impacts. Take the car on a test drive over a large speed bump or rough pavement. If you hear a hollow clunking noise echoing from the front wheel, the rubber mounts are torn. Replacing the front strut assemblies is a moderate repair expense that requires a suspension alignment afterward. Second, the rear wheel bearings roar at highway speeds. The factory wheel bearings are prone to internal metal pitting due to moisture intrusion from rain and snow. Drive the vehicle at 60 miles per hour on a smooth road. If you hear a low-pitched humming noise that sounds like a prop plane taking off in the back seat, the wheel bearings are shot. The noise changes pitch slightly when you weave the steering wheel left to right across the lane. Pressing new metal bearings into the rear wheel, hubs carries a moderate professional labor cost. Third, the manual climate control dials snap internally. The plastic gears located behind the dashboard climate knobs are fragile. Try turning the main air distribution dial from the floor setting directly to the windshield defrost setting. If the knob feels jammed or if it spins freely without changing the airflow direction in the cabin, the internal metal cable mechanism is broken. Fixing this requires removing the plastic center console trim. You can find these efficient hatchbacks for $3,000 to $5,000. A tiny city car saves money at the fuel pump and fits into any parallel parking spot. But what if you want the perfect combination of sharp handling, classic styling, and a chassis that feels like a sports car? We have reached the ultimate budget champion. If you are learning how to bypass dealership scams, hit the like button right now. Your support helps us warn more buyers about the financial traps waiting on the used car market. Number 1, the 1999 to 2003 Mazda Protege. We have reached the pinnacle of budget reliability and driving joy. When a modern buyer demands a compact car from the early 2000s that will not break down, They blindly purchase a boring Toyota Corolla. They accept an uninspired driving experience in exchange for perceived reliability. They surrender steering feel and cornering joy just to avoid the mechanic shop. The Mazda Protege shatters that compromise. It is a nimble, compact car that handles like a dream and costs pennies to maintain. Because it is over 2 decades old and wears a Mazda badge. You can buy it for thousands less than a heavily abused Honda Civic. Mazda built the Protege on the BJ platform. It provides the sharp driving dynamics of a sports sedan combined with basic utility. Under the hood lies the 2.0-liter FSDE 4-cylinder engine on the later models, or the 1.6-liter engine on early trims. The 2.0-liter power plant is a masterpiece of early Japanese engineering. It utilizes a heavy cast-iron engine block that handles normal driving conditions without wear. It uses a rubber timing belt. It produces 130 horsepower, which feels lively in a rigid chassis that weighs well under 2,700 pounds. The sharp driving dynamics set this sedan apart from every competitor manufactured in its era. Mazda engineers focused on chassis rigidity and suspension geometry. The vehicle utilizes a fully independent strut suspension at all 4 corners, paired with thick factory sway bars. This setup allows the car to corner flatly through mountain roads without transferring harsh road vibrations into the cabin. The traditional hydraulic power steering rack provides instant feedback about the road surface directly to your fingertips. An office manager named Jason purchased a 2001 Mazda Protege to commute to his job. He navigated twisting canyon roads and wide-open interstates. The ergonomic bucket seats prevented lower back fatigue during his long trips. He followed a strict maintenance schedule, changing the conventional engine oil every 4,000 miles. He crossed 360,000 miles. The heavy iron engine retained perfect factory compression across all 4 cylinders, and the precise manual transmission shifted rapidly without a single metallic grind. Despite its status as a mechanical champion, you must check 3 aging components before handing over your cash to the seller. First, the rear wheel arches are susceptible to catastrophic metal rust. Mazda did not use adequate rust-proofing chemicals inside the rear quarter panels during the manufacturing process. Rain moisture and winter road salt become trapped behind the metal lip of the rear wheel wells. The metal rots from the inside out, eating away the exterior paint. You must run your hand along the inside lower edge of the rear wheel arches. If the metal feels crunchy, flaking, or shows any signs of bubbling exterior paint, the car requires professional bodywork. You must hunt for a vehicle that lived its entire life in a dry southern climate away from road salt. Second, the intake air accordion hose rips open. The large rubber hose connects the mass airflow sensor to the engine throttle body. Engine heat and vibrations cause the rubber folds to crack open. When the hose tears, unmetered air enters the engine. The engine runs lean, idles rough, and stalls. You can visually inspect the hose by pulling on the rubber ridges. If you see cracks, you can buy a replacement hose online for $20 and install it yourself with a simple screwdriver. Third, the thick rubber engine mounts tear in half. The Protege utilizes 4 rubber motor mounts to secure the heavy iron engine directly to the front subframe. The front and rear mounts bear the twisting torque of the engine during acceleration. The rubber tears under constant daily stress, allowing the engine to rock back and forth under the hood. You will feel a distinct vibration through the steering wheel when the car is stopped at a traffic light in gear, and you will hear a loud clunking noise when you press or release the gas pedal. Replacing the motor mounts is a cheap and effective repair that transforms how smooth the car feels. You can purchase the best compact car on the used market for $2,000 to $4,000. If this deep dive into forgotten automotive engineering saved your bank account, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment down below telling us your favorite budget vehicle on this list. There is another vital video popping up on your screen right now exposing the 10 European luxury vehicles that will bankrupt you. Click the video on your screen before you sign a loan for your next car. We will see you in the next one.